Hey, this is National Sales Director Leah Lauchlan. Welcome to this hangout that is titled Master Recruiter. And this hangout will just be this comprehensive training on recruiting and sharing and how to share and how to effectively build your team. And so I've really worked on this to hopefully, this is my hope, that it really covers a lot of different aspects of recruiting, and that after watching this, you have a better idea of the concept of recruiting and ideas to be more effective when you're sharing the opportunity. Because I just so strongly believe that your effectiveness in communication with your customers and your prospects has so much to do with their yes decision. Because really it's about building a trusting relationship. And we build trust in our relationship in how we present and in how we communicate. And if we can build trust in a more authentic way and faster in a relationship through our communication skills, I think you'll see a result in your team building. Okay, so that's what I want to tackle. And I hope you finish this just more equipped to build an authentic relationship based on trust, which then greatly, greatly impacts your recruiting and your team building. So, okay. Oh my gosh. I almost feel like this is a really daunting task right now. I'm like feeling a little overwhelmed to really cover all of these things in a way that is effective. So let's just jump in and start. And this is how I start new consultant training on recruiting. Okay, so some of you I know are directors and more seasoned, but I'm going to start it the same way that I would share with a new consultant, brand new in Mary Kay. And it starts with your mindset. And I learned this from Linda Tupin, and I thought it was the most brilliant way to talk about the mindset of sharing and team building. And so if I told you to go into a room of 100 women and get 20 of them to order a starter kit and start their Mary Kay business, how would you feel? And if you're like me, that even to this day, after 10 years in Mary Kay and now a national sales director, that seems just intimidating and daunting. I feel like I would need to be pushy to go get 20 people to do Mary Kay. Just doesn't sound appealing to me. Presented it to you like this. What if I told you that in a room of 100 women, there were 20 of them just dying for a new opportunity and praying for something to come in into their life that would create more flexibility or more income or more connection to community. And they just were looking for something like this that would truly change their life in some positive way. So what if you had that mindset? And I don't know about you, but it makes me want to go find those women. I'm like, I want to find her. If this could bless her, I want to share. If this could enhance any area of her life, even in a small way, then I want to give her that gift. I want to bless her with that. And so I think that truly has to be the heart of your mindset about sharing and recruiting, is that you're just out there looking for women that this could bless. And if it could bless her, you would have the willingness, the courage, and the boldness to share the opportunity effectively. And I think when we have that mindset, that we're out there sharing, not trying to get people to do something, not trying to talk people into something, not trying to twist their arm, or offer an opportunity that wouldn't be the right fit for them. No, that's not what we're trying to do. We're out there looking for women who could be blessed by this. And when I heard that as a new consultant, I'm like, okay, I can do that. I can share a gift. I can share an opportunity if it could really bless people. And it's so, so important to have that mindset. Okay, so we're going to just operate with that mindset that you're out there looking for women that this could be a true blessing to her life. And sometimes we get paranoid. Okay, have you ever been paranoid before that whatever you're doing, it's gonna be messed up, or you're gonna mess it up, or you're not going to get the results that you want, or they're going to think you're too pushy, or this or that. Like, we start to like create these scenarios in our mind that always go to a negative place. I heard this term used before, that we need to be inverse paranoid. Okay, so when we're paranoid and worried, we go to a negative place. We need to switch that around and start creating scenarios and stories in our mind that go to a positive place, that have positive expectation, because you will create in your circumstance what you expect. It's like this weird, crazy universal law that you will create in your circumstances what you expect. So if you're worried that everybody's going to think you're pushy, you will somehow magically create that. And there won't be this trusting relationship built between you and your customer, because you're expecting them to think that you're pushy, or that they don't want to hear what you have to share. Okay? So we need to start expecting and being paranoid about the positive scenario, the positive outcome. Okay, so something I started doing once I heard this was creating sort of like this scenario in my mind, like 1 to 2 minutes before I would do a career survey on the phone or in person with someone. I would just literally spend a minute kind of creating a scenario in my mind, just to get myself in the right mindset. So here's some things that I would want to be expecting from that sharing phone call, or that sharing opportunity over coffee. I would expect that and want the conversation with me to be a highlight of her day or her week. That she would truly hang up the phone or walk away from our coffee appointment and feel uplifted, feel affirmed, feel validated. She had an opportunity to be heard. I would literally want the conversation to be an energy giver, a life giver to her. And I would envision her feeling like that, and feeling like, wow, that's the first time this week somebody listened to me. This is the first time this week somebody's like asked me questions about me and wanted to get to know me just for the sake of getting to know me. I would want her to think that's the first time like somebody's affirmed who I am and my strengths, and even notice my strengths. Or that's the first time like somebody's paid attention to me this week. And whether that's true or not, I want to expect that like the conversation with me and the time that we have together would truly be a highlight of her day or her week. I would envision that I would envision her desiring a Mary Kay business and wanting something that Mary Kay had to offer that would bless her life. I would imagine her coming back to me a year later saying, thank you for sharing this Mary Kay opportunity with me, because look how it's changed my life. I would imagine her at a car dealership picking up her first free car with her family, and me being a part of that and being able to celebrate with her. I would imagine her viewing this opportunity as like an answer to prayer. I would envision her like taking advantage of this opportunity and growing into a more confident version of herself. Okay, so those would be some things I would literally create in my mind before I would talk to somebody about the opportunity. And here's the thing, again, you create what you expect. And so by creating that story, it just gets you in a mindset and a heart set where you're going to share more authentically and be more intentional about being a blessing to her. You guys, it costs you nothing. That minute of envisioning that and getting your mind and heart in that place costs you nothing. And if none of those things happened, let's say none of what you envisioned happened, which I doubt, but let's say none of those things happened, you didn't lose anything. You're not out anything. In fact, if you get yourself in that mindset, you've probably had a more engaging, edifying conversation, because you're seeking to be a blessing. You're expecting to be a blessing to her. You're expecting that conversation to build her up and affirm her. So if you're expecting that, that's what you're going to give to her. And say she never she never is interested in Mary Kay. That's okay. You had a more edifying, engaging conversation just for getting yourself in that mindset. So it costs you nothing to create that story and that scenario. And the positive outcome is that you're seeking to be a blessing to her. Okay, so you see how that could really impact your sharing appointments and your sharing conversations just by getting inverse paranoid. Start getting paranoid about all the good that could come from sharing with her versus being paranoid about all the negative stuff. Because you don't want to create that. Create those freaky scenarios that we sometimes go there in our mind. Don't think about it, okay? Because you create what you expect. Okay, so that's another little mindset tip. So let's move on to working the numbers. And it's just so important to understand that this is a numbers game, especially with sharing. Not that people are a number, and not that we view people just as like this number. No, we see the person, we see the woman, and we value each person that we share with. But then how we work the numbers is just a fun game, you guys. It's just a fun numbers game. And I'm sure you've heard that before. If you've been in Mary Kay for like 10 minutes, you've probably heard the numbers or heard that it's a numbers game and know that you need to work the numbers. And you probably heard that 1 out of every 4 to 5 people that you share with will sign. But do you really believe it? Because the only way I would believe that you believe it is if you're actually working the numbers, like super intentionally working the numbers at a high level that would actually create the results that you desire. Because if you're not working the numbers or tracking the numbers, then some part of you doesn't really believe that it's a numbers game. Have you ever tried tracking a really high number of career surveys like a beast? Have you ever tried that? Because if not, I would question if you really believe that this is a numbers game and it's just up to you to work the numbers and do the activity and the results follow that. If you've never really intentionally tracked a specific number like a beast with intentional focus, if you're not doing that, I don't know if you believe that this is a numbers game. And the great thing about viewing this as a numbers game is it takes the emotion out of it. And so if you just believe like, okay, here's the results I want because here's what would bless my business and bless my family. I want these results. So to get these results, I just need to work these numbers. And regardless of the result I get with the activity, I'm just going to do the activity because I'm committed to the activity because I believe this is a numbers game. And then you don't have to worry about the results. You can just like release those emotionally and mentally, release the results and just do the activity. And I'll share a quick story, you guys. And it's a story I only know because it's been told. I don't know if had this story not been told multiple times to me, I don't know if I would even remember it. And it was in DIQ. And I was trying to get into DIQ or I was in DIQ. And there was a month that I did 20 career surveys. So I shared with 20 people. Guess how many people I recruited? 0. Okay, shared with 20, recruited 0. Now, based on the numbers, I should have recruited like 4 or 5 people. I recruited 0. And so I know this story because my director told this story afterwards. She was getting kind of nervous because she was afraid I was going to get discouraged and we weren't really getting results. And so she was kind of worried that I would get discouraged and like quit or something. And I don't even remember feeling that discouraged by it. And sure, yes, I wanted recruits and I wanted to see the results. But I was just happy to do the activity. I'm like, sweet, got 20 done. Okay, awesome, let's keep going. Because somebody told me it was a numbers game. And I bought into that belief that it's a numbers game. And I just felt like they told me it would work out. So I'm just going to believe that it'll work out. And I'm just glad I found 20 people who said, yes, they'll listen to the business opportunity. Like, score, that's a win. I was just happy to do the activity, trusting that the numbers would work out. So it took the emotion out of it. I really wasn't even worried about it. I don't remember like really any serious discouragement. It definitely wasn't causing me to want to quit. I was told the numbers would work out over time, and I bought into that and I believed it. And so instead of getting all discouraged and like, oh my God, I shared with 20 people, nobody signed up, like this must not work, like wah, wah, wah. And I see so many people like go to this whiny place if they don't get the results right away. Like they start crying if after a month they're not where they want to be. And this is a business, my friends, and it takes time to build a business, and it takes some intention and focus, and it takes numbers working out over time. And the business often works in 90-day cycles, sometimes longer. And so it takes time to get results. And we are so used to just instant gratification, and we want things fast and we want things now because we've grown up with that entitlement mentality that you should deserve it now. And if you give any sort of effort, you should see the fruits of your effort like immediately. And that's just not life. And it's definitely not business to experience that. Now, sometimes do we experience that? Yes, absolutely. You do hear stories of people starting Mary Kay on Monday and earning their car on Wednesday. You do hear stories like that, and it can happen, and it is possible. But that is usually the exception. The rule is that you have to work the numbers over time, and you need to focus and put a lot of effort into it, and like stick to it when you don't see the results. That's really the rule in the world of business. To this podcast titled not Built to Last. It's titled How I Built This. And it's stories of entrepreneurs telling their like I story about how they built their business. And there's one common theme is that it took time and intention and a lot of failure along the way. There was this one woman who had this dream of having radio stations. And she had this opportunity to buy her first radio station. The cost of it was $1 million. She had $10,000. Okay, so she invested $10,000 of her own personal money, went to 37 banks. I didn't know there were 37 banks in existence. I mean, that's pretty obvious that there would be, but I'm like, 37 banks? Until she found a bank who would loan her almost $1 million. She had the 10,000, but she needed the rest to be financed. So she took an almost $1 million loan out, had to actually live in the radio station that she bought because she could not afford housing of her own because she was paying off $1 million loan. And it was 7 years before she saw a profit. 7 years. Today, she's a multi-billionaire and owns radio stations all over the place, and is the CEO of an incredibly successful business that's given job opportunities to other people, that's created flexibility and choices for her family. But 7 years without a profit. Thankfully, in Mary Kay, I don't know anybody who's waited 7 years to make a profit because you can go sell a mascara and make some money today. But I tell you that story just so you understand that it takes time to build a business. It takes effort and intention. So don't be throwing in the towel and whining when you don't see results right away. Like, of course you don't. Okay? And so going back to that story, I was just happy to do the activity because I was told the activity would produce results. I bought into that. We all need to buy into that truth because it is a truth. You don't always know when the results will come or when the momentum will set in, but it will. It will come with intentional effort. Okay, so do you believe that this is a numbers game? That is an important belief and mindset. And then how intentionally do you work to bring in recruits just based on the numbers? Directors, how intentionally, and I know consultants and directors are watching this because I really wanted it to be for both consultants and directors, but some of this is more director oriented and some of it is more consultant oriented. So sales directors who are watching this, how intentionally do you track the number of people you're in front of? Of course for yourself, but also for your unit. Do you even track that? And if not, you don't believe that this is a numbers. If you really did believe that, you would be tracking and be intentional about the numbers to get results that you would desire. Directors, how intentionally do you work to bring in recruits for your consultants who are not yet as skilled as you are? That is part of your role as a leader, to work for them. Not to enable them, not to do for them what they can do for themselves, but to lead the way and lead by example and support them in sharing with their people as skilled as you are. And so that's, doing the pearls of sharing and supporting them with their first 5 career surveys. That is at the meeting, connecting with their guests, building a relationship and rapport with their guests, and afterwards going up to her and asking, are you a yes or a no? Are you in or are you out? Are you an A, B, or a C? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your interest level? You're doing that for your people because you're supporting them in getting results in an area that they're not as skilled as you are yet. And so are you leading the way with that and intentional with supporting your people? Directors, I think you should feel the burden of needing and wanting to perform well for your consultants in your unit so that you're supporting their growth and their promotion. And no, it's not your business. Okay, so there's a fine line between enabling your people and doing everything for them and supporting them and leading by example. Okay, so consultants, like your director's not going to go to all your parties, and she's not going to do everything for you. Okay, you're a big girl. This is your business. You got to do some of those things for yourself. But directors, at the same time, we do need to lead by example and really support our people in helping them to get results that would. I got something in my eye. Oh man. Okay. Okay, I think I got it. There's no pause on Google Hangouts. There should be a pause button. Little commercial break. So, okay. Game concept. The minimum expectation, just in my opinion, is getting 2 career surveys booked per party minimum. That's like, okay, yeah, that's great. It could have been better. It's like just lowballing the expectations is at least 2. At least 2 people do a career survey with you live or in person on the phone or for coffee with your director, not with your director, depending on how you do it, but at least 2 per party. Just doing that would solve a lot of your recruiting challenges. Just having that expectation and holding yourself to that standard, you'd probably double your numbers that you're doing right now. Probably easily double your recruiting numbers. Some of you are leaving parties with 0 booked or 1 booked. I mean, minimum, it should be 2, ideally 4 or 5, 6. I was told to ask everyone. That was my training as a new consultant, is you just ask everyone, especially new people, because you don't yet have the intuition who could be blessed by the opportunity or not. And we don't always know 100% for sure, but as you start to gain some experience and gain some people skills, you can kind of tell like, oh man, this could be great for her. She could be great with this. You start to gain that intuition. You don't have that as much as a new consultant. So you just ask everybody. It doesn't matter who she is, what she says. You just ask. You say, hey, like I get credit for doing these. It helps me with my training. Or I'm in the process of earning my first free car and I get credit for everybody who just watches this video and gives us their opinion. Can I steal 15 minutes of your time and just get your opinion on the phone? I'll give you 1 item at 50% off just for helping me out. That's what I offered as a new consultant. 1 item at 50% off for them doing a career survey. So that's just basically what you're saying. You're just asking for some support and help. They don't have to be interested in Mary Kay. That's okay. But I was told to ask everyone. And so I'll tell you a quick story. When I really understood that, was within my first Power Start, and I held this party that I asked Jessie Harper to do a career survey. I never would have asked her just based on like sheer signs of her being interested. There were no signs of her being interested at all in the business opportunity. And so I just asked her because I was told to. And my director said jump, and I said how high? I mean, you guys, I just freaking trusted the process and was obedient to the process and trusted the successful people who had gone before me. Someone who had gone before me, who's making 6 figures, driving a Cadillac, had flexibility, had all these things, created this life that Mary Kay offered. Like, I just trusted that what they said was like good, like, oh, she's saying it and she's driving a Cadillac and making 6 figures. Okay, I'll follow her. I'll follow what she's doing because She obviously did something right. She obviously did something right along the way. So I'm just going to trust her and listen to her. And I see way too many consultants just like bucking the process, not trusting the process, not even going to new consultant training, not even going to their meeting, not even like, you know, printing off the flip chart, like not just doing some basic things that we provide so that you'll be successful. And they just like try to make up their own way. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing out there, like wandering in the desert, like making up your own way or trying to like do your own thing and not even getting training and not even like trying to, you know, do things that we're providing or using tools and resources we're providing that have been proven to create success. So the path is laid out. And that's unique about Mary Kay. You know, in corporate America, I'll just use my husband's job as an example. He's an attorney at a law firm. And as you move up, you have this opportunity to be a partner and share in the profits of the firm. And it's this big mystery about how you do that. Like, how do you become a partner? I don't know. Is it like luck? Is it who you know? Is it just time in? Like, how do you become a partner? And no one's really clear on how that actually happens. There's no like just proven path to become a partner at the firm. You just like work hard and hope the stars align or something like that. I'm like, well, who can tell you? Like, who can lay out the path? Like, who can explain this? Who can explain compensation for a partner? Nobody knows. Are you kidding me? In Mary Kay, you guys, it is laid out. It is crystal clear. I mean, if you can read, you can figure it out. You know exactly how to become a red jacket, DIQ sales director, national sales director. You know exactly how they're paid and how they're compensated. It's printed. Everybody's income is actually printed in a magazine that's mailed out to like millions of people every month. It is like crystal clear. So trust the process and the path that has been laid out before you, and believe in things that we tell you will help you to be successful. And so when I say the expectation is a minimum 2 per party, and when you're not doing that, it's like there's some disconnect. Like you're not really believing that what successful people are telling you is true. You're trying to create your own way. And that doesn't work. And so ask everyone, especially if you're newer in this business. I still have something in my eye. It's really actually bothering me quite a bit. You at least get 2. You've got to just trust that process. Buy into that. And I don't care if there's nobody interested. That's what I hear a lot. Like, nobody was interested. I'm like, duh, of course they weren't. Like, people aren't just going to sign themselves up. They don't know enough to make an educated decision. That's your job. And so don't come home from a party and tell me I didn't book any career surveys, nobody was interested. They're not supposed to be interested because you haven't shared effectively. That was your job to do it. Okay, so you want to also book them on the spot. That's another big pitfall I see, is that people leave parties and they maybe talked about the career survey, maybe got people to agree to do it, but it's not booked yet. And when you leave and it's not booked yet, there's not a committed time to that sharing appointment. I mean, you may as well just like cross it off your calendar list of people who are going to do career surveys, because you just have to have that committed time, or the likelihood of them actually following through on maybe the commitment they need verbally it lessens, because they lose excitement for it. They forget about it. They get busy. It's just so easy for it to not happen and not be followed through on. And so you want to leave with it on the date book within 24 to 48 hours. And the way I ask is I say, well, how's tomorrow for you? Or is the next day more what you were thinking? Or what does tomorrow look like? Or would the next day be more, work better in your schedule? So you're asking them, how's tomorrow or the next day? So within a 48-hour time frame of them trying the product, you are having an opportunity to share more about the business. And so it's important to book that on the spot. Consultants who are still doing your phone calls with your sales director, know her scheduling in. Don't go to a party talk to people about maybe doing a phone call, and then find out her schedule the next day. Because you've just lost time. You've just lost time, and you've lost a lot of chances that they'll follow through. So you want to go to that party knowing her schedule, book it on the spot, then let your director know after the party. You want to always have career surveys lined up. You know, we always talk about having bookings, like on bookings on your date book. It's like the lifeline to your business. Same thing with career surveys. Career surveys should be thought of just like bookings. So we often say book 10 by the 5th. You want to have 10 bookings on your date book. You really want the same amount of career surveys always happening too. Just like you want to be holding parties every week, you want to be doing career surveys every week. They should be happening in tandem with your parties, because at every party you go to, remember, you're setting up at least 2, ideally a lot more than that, but minimum at least 2. And so that as you're holding parties, you're always doing career surveys. So it's just happening all the time in your business, just like bookings are always happening. And then another comment I wanted to make is that they would happen in person. They're way more effective, especially today. So bombarded with just information constantly on our cell phones. I mean, the amount of notifications and emails and communication that just comes from all sorts of places in so many different forms, you guys. I mean, you have a hard time just getting people's attention. Just like even getting, like eliciting a response to a message or a voicemail or a text is, you know, sometimes like pulling teeth, because they're just receiving information from so many different places that often we're not even on their radar sometimes. So we got to get their attention. And what a beautiful way to like meet with a woman, eyeball to eyeball, belly button to belly button, and have like a meaningful, engaging conversation. I don't think they happen as much as maybe they used to because of technology and the connection we have on social media. And so treat her to coffee, get together with her, meet her after work, meet her on her lunch break, and have a meaningful connection. Because when she is on the phone with you for a career survey, she is doing something else, I promise you. She is not going into her room and sitting in a comfy chair, closing her eyes and just listening to the conversation. I mean, she's cooking dinner. She's picking up the kids from school. She's cleaning up her house. She's checking her email. She is multitasking, I promise you. And you're probably multitasking too. That's the scary thing. And so the effectiveness of the conversation just diminishes so much, because it's usually 2 distracted people coming together to briefly talk about what she thought about the video. And so it's so much more powerful in person, and you need to stand out in the masses. You need to be the different person who took the time to meet her for coffee, to hear about her and her life and her dreams and her hopes and her opinion about the Mary Kay business opportunity. That's how you stand out, because nobody else is doing that. But we do that because we believe in the relationship and we believe in building trust. So in-person career surveys, so important, so important. And so start doing them with your director. Schedule consistent time during the week that you set aside time to do it. And sure, we gotta be good on the phone too, and learn to use the phone effectively too, because it's going to be a natural part of our business. Just because sometimes people can't get together. There's usually a distance sometimes, or a long drive that doesn't allow us to get together. But you want to try to really make that happen. So, all right, let's talk about the layering process, you guys, plus tracking and follow-up. Okay, layering process plus how to track it plus how to follow up. You're going to recruit close to the product. We already talked about that with booking a career survey or sharing appointment, you know, a day or 2 from sharing the product with her. Super important. And you've got to take the reins on that. So you can't just say, well, when's good for you? Because no time is good for her. Or 2 weeks from now is good for her. In the new year is good for her. After this kids get out of school is good for her. When her husband gets a new job is good for her. You leave it up to them, It's not till later that's good for them when we recruit close to the product. So that's why you say, well, hey, how's tomorrow for you? Or would the next day be better? And so you want to lead that conversation. The layering process, you guys, I love the layering process. I'm really good at the layering process and follow up. That was sort of a sweet spot and is a sweet spot for me when it comes to recruiting, because I think I was layered so well. And I really intuitively understood how important that was for me. So I'm like, surely it's got to be important for other people. If not for the layering process, you would not be watching this today, because I would not be in Mary Kay. If not for the layering process, I needed those layers to make a yes decision. And too often you provide one, maybe two layers. She says no, you scratch her off the list and then don't effectively follow up or continue to layer after that. And you lost the next Leah Lauchlan because you did not layer her like we should be. The average woman needs 4 layers, like all of them in a decent amount of time. I need like all 7 layers, and I believe all the layers. There is a tracking sheet for this, you guys. But the 7 layers are trying the product, being a hostess, getting like a recruiting packet. So that's just getting information. And usually nowadays we use the, usually use a YouTube video, or it's like the Choices CD that Linda Tupin created. That's what I used when I was new in Mary Kay. So it's giving her some kind of information, either a CD, video, some kind of steps to success brochure is another really important just piece of information that can be effective for people. So it's a recruiting packet. It's a career survey. So having a conversation. It's being a guest to a meeting or an event. And what are the other ones? Oh my gosh. It's being a preferred hostess. So somebody who's like hosting multiple parties, or maybe every season when the new products come out, she hosts multiple parties. And then what's the other one? I've lost it. I don't know. I'd have to look at the sheet. So anyways, there's like 7 layers. And every time you're with someone, you want to take them to the next layer, especially new people that you meet. So let me give you the example of Tina. She sent me a postcard for a business debut. She followed up to make sure I was coming. And then I think she followed up like a couple of times after that, like, you gonna come, you gonna come, you gonna come, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. And so I went to her debut, saw a presentation of the product and business opportunity, was very skeptical about Mary Kay. I was introduced to Mary Kay in college, so I did know the product was good. I think I bought maybe a lotion, or I might have even just got it for free because I won the most tickets because I was asking annoying questions, because I'm competitive and I wanted something for free. And so I think I got a moisturizer for free. I don't know if I bought anything, you guys. I'm really sorry, Tina. At that debut, she booked a party with me. At the party, we booked a career survey. She actually had me come over to her house, and we did the career survey on speakerphone. Then she booked I think the next thing we did was a glamour appointment, where it was me and my best friend and her just like playing with makeup, kind of more informal, just playing with a bunch of eyeshadow colors. And then I think from there she invited me to her meeting. And so each time we were together, she took me to this next place. And here's what I think maybe a lot of you think is like, oh, I don't want to ask her to do one more thing. Like, I can't, she already did this, I don't want to ask her to do one more thing. But I look back on the layering process and it was super fun. I enjoyed the layering process, and I got something free or at a discount every time I did something with Tina. And so I was motivated by that, just to get some product for free. And I loved that. And I thought the layering process was fun. And will think that and believe that. And especially if you're fun and building a relationship with her and somebody who's a positive person in her life, she'll agree to be layered by you. You just have to ask and present it in a way that's appealing to her, and be a person who's fun and positive and somebody who's trustworthy. And so the layering process is so important. You probably don't even want to know how many really good recruits you've passed up. for a lack of layering them, and a lack of follow-up, and a lack of effective communication. I promise you, people will be recruited, just maybe not by you, because for a lack of effective layering and communication. So we really need to master this process. And so there is a tracking sheet for this, because there's no way you can keep it all in your mind. And what you do is you write somebody's name down, and you just check off the layer that you've done with them. And it gives you a good visual. You can just see black and white, okay, what's her next step? So it always kind of keeps that in your mind mentally, like, okay, now I need to, do this with her, ask her about this. And then it's also a great way to follow up, because you will layer someone and she'll still say no, but then like 1 month the starter kit is on sale for $50. And so then you go back to that sheet and say, okay, who are my prospects? And every 6 months, a certain circumstance in a woman's life changes. She either gets married or divorced or engaged or gets pregnant or has a baby or goes back to work or leaves work or goes back to school or graduates, or her husband gets a new job. Like, life circumstances change, and with a change in a circumstance, there's a different need in someone's life. And sometimes when a circumstance changes, the need changes, and Mary Kay could possibly fulfill that need that she didn't have 6 months ago. So that's why we keep track of our prospects and follow up, because circumstances change needs, and Mary Kay might fulfill that need at that time. I really was first layered in Mary Kay in college. I was 19, invited to a guest event that I went to. Really got excited about Mary Kay, but I was very, very skeptical, like very skeptical about it. I had a party and really liked the product, bought some product, skincare and some makeup, enjoyed using it, liked it, was happy with it. And it started my positive image of Mary Kay. I still really was skeptical, but at least started this positive image. And so she shared the business opportunity with me at that time, and my sister. My sister actually signed up. She was 18. She signed up, never really did a whole lot with it. And I almost thought about it and considered it, like, well, maybe, but I just didn't have the need at that time. You guys, I was in college and I didn't see the strong need. Whereas when I graduated, was working, it was a circumstance that created different needs in my life, that created the yes instead of the no this time. Okay, so that's why we layer, that's why we follow up, and that's why we keep track of it, because you will forget. You will forget about people unless you write her down and keep track of her. I had a really good friend in college who I played volleyball with, initially shared the business opportunity with her. She was interested, but something was happening in her life that she's like, oh, follow up with me in May, I think it was, when something changed. And I forget what it was. I didn't follow up, because I honestly didn't remember to. And I just figured, well, I don't want to bug her, she'll call me if she's interested. No, she won't. She called me one day, you guys, and she's like, guess what? You'll be so excited. I started my Mary Kay business. And I was like, you did? And I faked being excited for her, because she started her Mary Kay business with somebody else. And so she was serious about, hey, follow up with me. When this changes, I'll be ready. I didn't follow up with her, you guys. And so she was recruited by somebody else. And so that's just one little story to share with you the value of a tracking sheet that keeps track of your prospects, and the value of following up. And so, okay, back to Jessie Harper. Okay, remember I was told to career survey everyone. So I set up a career survey with Jessie Harper. She ends up signing up. She was a crucial person. She played a crucial role in the first car that I earned. And she was just a dear friend, so supportive and so kind and so encouraging in a time that encouragement really meant a lot to me and helped me build up my confidence. And I should probably write her a letter and like really tell her what a support she was to me. I mean, I've told her that, but I should probably tell her again, because she was such a strong encouragement to me. She was a director at one point, and still today is a consultant in my unit. And I know Mary Kay has blessed her life in a lot of ways, even though right now she's not really actively building a business. She just enjoys the products and has a small customer base that she services. But I know that there was a season that Mary Kay really blessed her life, and she was a blessing to me, and her friendship was. And so that's somebody I recruited that had I walked away from that party and not set up that career survey, I don't know if we would have ever talked again. And I'm serious. I don't know if we ever would have talked again because I was too new in the business. At that point, I didn't have any systems for follow-up set up in place. I wouldn't have followed up with her. So we set up the career survey, and in the career survey, she was actually interested, much to my shock and awe. And so during the career survey, we actually set up a follow-up appointment where it's just a one-on-one facial. Because she's like, I want to get more information, can you come over? So I went over, we did a one-on-one facial, and I just shared more with her at that appointment, and then that's when she eventually signed up. So again, had I walked away from that party without setting up that career survey, probably literally never would have spoken to her again. I wonder how many people your party it could have been your dear, supportive, encouraging friend that are not now because there was no career survey set up with them. I know it's like a sobering thought, isn't it? Kind of makes me like sick to my stomach to think of how many people probably fall through the cracks just for a lack of commitment to setting up the career survey with everyone and following up effectively and tracking who your prospects are. Okay, so this is for directors. Consultancies numbers won't make as much sense to you, but directors understand the value of this. I started off with, I did track how many people I was in front of from pretty much very early on in my directorship. And as a new smaller unit, on average, we were in front of 50 a month, 50 people between my personal business and supporting my unit. I like almost can't see out of this eye. It's like so blurry. What is in there? Oh man. Okay, 50 new, which as a new unit, on average, we were bringing in 10 new a month, which is growth. As our unit grew larger, I started to be in front of more like 75 to 100. And in that season, we were bringing in like 12 to 15 new per month. And then as our unit really grew, it was more like 100 to 150 on average. Like a really high month would be like 200. And at that point, we were bringing in on average 20 new or more per month. And so the number of people we were in front of just directly related to the new agreements that we were bringing in. And I just tracked it like a beast, and I was intentional about it. And I always had a goal of who I wanted to be in front of. But then I didn't just have that goal. I think a lot of directors stop there. Okay, I want to be in front of 50 people. And then they just work all month hoping that they'll be in front of 50 people. But I decided how many I wanted to be in front of. Then I grabbed my calendar and I would actually plug the numbers in. And I would look at all my meetings, all my events, all my personal parties, all my key people surveys, all my new people who'd be doing their pearls of sharing. And I like strategized it out on paper and thought, okay, on average, we've got like 5 guests coming per meeting. So 5, 10, 15, 20. So I'll have 20 people I'm in front of for meetings. Okay, got it. We've got 3 people working on their pearls of sharing that I really think can finish it. Okay, that's 15 from them. So I know I need to really coach and follow up with them because I expect to be in front of 15 people. So I'm going to inspect what I expect and I'm going to follow up with them. Okay, so I've got 10 parties on the date book. I'm going to do at least 2 career surveys, so that's at least 20 from me. And I've got 2 guest events, and we usually have about 7 people per guest event on average, so that's 14. And then I've got 5 people working on red or moving up right now. So let's say they all at least do 5. Some will do more, some will do less, but on average they'll do 5. So that gives me another 25. I mean, literally, I would crunch out the numbers like that and write it all down and figure out what I could expect. And then if it was lower than that, I would think, okay, I need to either add some more parties to my date book, get some more personal guests booked to meetings. Maybe I'll add a guest event. I'll add one more guest event this month, and that'll create an opportunity to be in front of more people. You know what? I really think, Sally and Susie, they have really big goals. I really think they could do 10. So let me have a coaching conversation with them about what that would look like for them to do 10 career surveys instead of 5. So that increases the number right there. I mean, I would literally just write it out, figure it out, strategize it. And if it was low, I would try to fill it in. I'm like, okay, that's missing right now. Here's ways I could fill it in. Here's ways we can get to that number. And then I tracked it. And I had, in the early days, I had a binder, a big ugly binder that had paper. There were 12 slots per paper. It's like a little spreadsheet. It was stupid simple. And every time I was in front of someone, I wrote her name down, her phone number down, how I knew her, so who she was connected to, and like just some notes about who she was. And I would, every day, you guys, I'd fill it out every day. I was looking at this thing every day. And then as we would have prospects, like people who I thought they'd be really good, or maybe they had a high interest level, I'm highlighting them. And so every day I'm like reviewing who are our prospects, who have I been in front of, what's my number up to? Because I would also have the number written out, like the first page would have 12. So I'd have 12 written on top. I would flip the next page and that would have 24. So at any moment in the month, I could always see, okay, I've been in front of 36 so far. And that would either let me know we were on track or not on track. If we weren't on track, my brain would go to, okay, where can I find more people? Where do I find them? Let me look at my date book. Where can I find them? And I would create some way, and there's always a way to find more people. And it would either be through my personal work or coaching key people or adding an event to my date book that my people would bring people to. That was literally how serious I was about it. Every day it was something I looked at. Every day it was something I considered. Every day it was something I strategized, something I was intentional about, and I got what I expected. I expected to be in front of that number of people, and that's what I got. I created what I expected. I inspected what I expected. And I strategically and smartly, is that a word? Worked on finding what I was looking for. Like I was on a treasure hunt. I was looking for people. I'm like, where can I find the people? Where are the people? I got to find them, because that's how I add value. That's how I have an impact. That's how I create growth. That's how I create growth for my people. That's how we reach our goals. I got to find people. And so I was insanely strategic about finding people. Directors, could you implement some of those ideas and concepts so that you're finding more people? So essentially you're adding more value, and like you get paid to add value. Your income in life, not just in Mary Kay, you guys, but in life, your income in life will be directly connected to the value that you add to the lives of others. At your job, your normal day job, and in business, your income is directly connected to the value you add to the lives of other people. The more value you add for people, the higher your income. And in Mary Kay, the way we add value is just to be in front of them and share the product and share our services and share our love and share our energy and share our positivity and share our mindset and perspective that we make every woman feel special and important. That's how we add value. And so that's why there's just such this strong focus on parties, because that's how you get in front of people and that's how you add value. And that's why we want you to have in-person interviews, because you can add more value. And that's why we track who we're in front of, not that people are a number. No, we just want to add value. And so we want to focus on how we can do that. So that was one way I attacked the layering process and tracked and followed up. Oh, here's another follow-up tip. And this is mainly for directors, but consultants, you can do this too. I always have this Post-it note of who our hottest prospects are. Okay, so remember I have that big ugly binder. Now I actually do this on an iPad. I switched because I wanted to go as paperless as possible in my office. And so I eventually just had this spreadsheet on an iPad. It worked for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but that's just how I switched. But in the days that it was on paper, I would have this Post-it note of our hottest prospects. And every day in my planner, I would turn the page and I would stick the Post-it note on the new page. I would turn the page again, stick the Post-it note down. It was like literally something I was visually seeing every day and aware of who our prospects were so that I would follow up. Now, does that mean I called them every day? No, that would be weird. But it just means I considered them every day. I'm like, how can I follow up? Is it an appropriate time to follow up right now? Or if they weren't my people, they were my consultants' people, I would teach and coach my consultants. Like, Amy, oh yeah, that was a girl we did a career survey with Susan. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna text Susan real quick and see if she can invite Amy to the guest event this week. Okay, that's how I train my consultants on how to follow up, because they don't know, especially your newer ones. They're not as skilled as a director is in following up. Sometimes consultants hear a no and they think they can't ask her to any Mary Kay event ever again. But remember, the layering process is important. And so you're communicating with Susan, say, Susan, hey, we've got this guest event. Can Amy come? Can you invite her? Can we give her something for free for coming? Like, when can you call her and see if she can make it? With all our hottest prospects, training my consultants on how to follow up, and then creating opportunities for me to be in front of more people to add more value. So that was another way I followed up. And I did that with my binder, the highlighted prospects. I was also considering those people every day and thinking, oh, you know what? The starter kit's only $50 this month. Let's follow up with these people. It was always just something I was actively thinking about and strategizing. Okay, so let's move into a different concept right now, and it's coaching concepts. This is going to be an epically long hangout. Coaching concepts. This is a big one. Okay, so our business is timeless. Mary Kay, the opportunity, because it offers flexibility, unlimited earning potential, and we are family oriented and believe in putting God and faith first and then career. And you guys, women want these things today. They wanted them yesterday, and they'll want them tomorrow. Regardless of age or generation, it's a consistent value with women and families to have flexibility with their time and unlimited earning potential, and a way to create income and wealth for their family because of the choices that offers. And family, for the most part, they value their kids and their husband and their family life and their home life. Or if they're not in that stage of life, which I was not in. I didn't have any kids, and my husband and I were just kind of, I don't know, we liked to be on the go. We liked to be busy. We liked to come and go and just be active. And, we were not just like, let's stay home tonight, a kind of couple. We were just active and busy. And so, family life was not really a value to me at that point in my life, but I knew it would be. Would have kids and a family, and our different. And so I was working for that future, even though in that moment it wasn't like family, home life was not, this strong priority for me. Okay, so the opportunity is timeless. It's not a fad, it's not a trend, it's just a timeless opportunity. It's always going to be relevant for women. That's the beauty of direct sales and business like this, is always relevant for women. But here's the thing that's changed. Technology and the way we communicate has changed drastically. And so because technology and the way we communicate today has changed, the way we, as Mary Kay consultants and directors, the way we engage and communicate with women has to change. It worked 20, 50 years ago is slightly different today. So the opportunity is not different. That's timeless. That is still relevant. But the way we communicate and engage and build relationships has changed. And so we need to be aware of that. And I think coaching is a key area and skill that teaches you how to communicate effectively. And what do we essentially do in Mary Kay? We talk to people. That's what we do. That's, if you had to boil it down to just one simple thing, we just talk to people. We talk to our potential hostesses. We talk to our customers. We talk to our prospects. We talk to our team. We talk to our leaders. We just talk to people. And so the more effective the conversation and communication, the more success you'll see in your Mary Kay business. And coaching is a skill that essentially teaches you to communicate effectively in a way that honors, serves, and loves people and builds trust in a relationship. So because of the internet and social media, people are being sold so much more on a daily basis, however many years ago. We're just constantly being sold. I mean, I can't tell you how many emails that roll through that are just, and it's even products I want and like, but it's just a constant, like, this is on sale, try this. What about this dress? What about these couches? You know, just constantly being sold. And so people in general have their wall up a lot more than they did back in the day. People are not as trusting as maybe they used to be. They're more distracted. And you're just one more person soliciting their time and money. And so because of these things, effective ways to get people's attention, because they're distracted and everybody's trying to get their attention. And so we have to find different effective ways to get people's attention and to engage differently, which can cause us in Mary Kay to stand out in a positive way because we value people, not just the sale and the bottom line. And we want to be able to communicate that. So here's one area we can do that. Sales technique years ago was when you're sharing and you get an objection, you the way you respond to that objection go into feel, felt, found. So like, oh yeah, I know how you feel. Like, let's say someone says, I don't have enough time to do Mary Kay. You say, oh, I know how you feel. I felt the same way too because of this and this and that. But I found that I could really work this into my schedule by doing this and this and that. And so what is feel, felt, found? It is just little stories, autobiographical stories about you. And it's all about you. And it creates, I think it causes people to put a wall up because they don't want to hear about you. This is about them and their story. And sure, they may listen politely to your story and they might find some benefit from hearing your story. And it's not like you can never share your story. Sometimes that can be effective. But I believe more often than not, it causes people to put a wall up because people are thinking, she didn't hear what I just said. Like, I don't want to hear about her story because she doesn't know my situation. I'm glad it worked for her, but she doesn't understand what I said, and she didn't hear me and doesn't understand what I'm going through. I think more often than not, that's what it communicates. And so we need to, instead of making it about us, we make it about her. So when overcoming objections, instead of feel, felt, found autobiographical stories, we want to validate and then use coaching questions to engage her in a conversation. And when we do this, when sharing the opportunity, it's just a tool we can have to have an effective conversation. And directors who are communicating with your consultants, you can do the same with them. Or consultants who are leading a team, you've got a team of people, you use the same concepts in those conversations too. So coaching can be used in any sort of conversation. Again, it's a way to effectively communicate, to engage, honor, listen to people, and help them to create their own ideas, solutions, and strategies. And so validating someone instead of feel, felt, found is essentially agreeing You're just agreeing with her and saying, I hear you. I hear what you are saying. So she says, I'm too busy. So instead of feel found, you say, here's how you could respond, like, yeah, like I can see that you have a full plate. Or yeah, you just feel maxed out right now. You essentially just agree with what she said, which communicates, I hear you, I agree with you, and you're validating and honoring her. We don't make it about us and our story, which can cause her to put a wall up. And when she's got a wall up, she doesn't hear what you say anymore. And it creates a divide. And when there's a divide or a wedge in a relationship, trust is harder to build. Okay, so after we validate, then we can engage with a question. Because I think validation in and of itself, just agreeing with her and saying, yeah, I can see that you're busy, wall goes down, then we can engage more with a question. Because you don't want to stop there. You don't just want to say, yeah, I see that you're busy. Okay, well, call me when you're not busy. We don't want to stop there. We just validate to bring the wall down so that we can engage further in conversation, and so that she has the opportunity to create her own solutions to being busy, because she may very well want to fit Mary Kay in. So she's not saying I don't want to do Mary Kay. She's just saying I don't see a way. I don't see a way to fit it in. And so by engaging in questions, you help her to find a way, and you help her to find her solution, not your solution. Okay, people only object to your ideas. They don't object to their own. So give her the opportunity to create her own solution to finding the time to fit Mary Kay into her life. We want to listen 80% of the time and talk 20%. So it's a lot of listening and very little talking. Usually that's flip-flopped. I remember going to this meeting with a friend for another direct sales company. And this was before I really knew about coaching, but I was in Mary Kay at the time. And I went to the meeting, the product, and was approached after the meeting by the director who led the meeting. And I was open to hearing what they had to say. I was open to having a conversation. I really, because of my experience with Mary Kay, didn't go in with a wall up. I didn't go in, with a lot of objections. I was just open. I didn't want to sell the product, but I was open to just learning more. And what happened was that person came up to me and she just, boom, talked. She talked the entire time. I literally just listened to her, and she was telling me all the reasons I should do this and that it would be great for me. And she literally never asked about me at all. What I did, she did not know what my objections were. She did not know my interest level. She knew nothing about me. She literally just talked to me the entire time. And I was just polite, and I listened, and I left. And I'm like, I don't want to work with her. I don't want to buy from her. Because she had literally she didn't even pause for a moment to consider me. She just wanted to pitch. She just pitched me the whole time. She pitched me. If she would have asked about me, I probably would have bought on the spot, ready to purchase the product, like right then and there. But not after that experience, because by the time she was done, I'm like, whew, like I got to get home. Like I'm tired of hearing about you and your story. Like I got to get home. And so we got to be careful not to be that girl who's just like pitching. You're just pitching the sale, because if you can just like talk enough and tell her all the benefits and like talk enough about how good Mary Kay is, then maybe she'll say yes. And then you create, you break down trust, and you cause people to put their walls up. Okay, so talk 20% of the time, listen 80% of the time. And you probably have heard in sales before, find a need and fill it. Okay, but here's the only way you find a need. It's by asking questions. And I think far too often we assume her need and tell her her need and tell her how Mary Kay could fill it. We should be asking questions. It's the only way we'll find her need. We cannot assume her need. Here's something I think happens. We see a woman at a party or a guest event, and she's working full time and her kids are in daycare. because we value being home with our kids and having that flexibility. We can say things like, well, hey, you could do Mary Kay and leave that job and be at home with your kids. We assume that that's what she wants. That could be the last thing she wants. You could have actually greatly offended her by saying that. And so instead of assuming she has that need and telling her how Mary Kay could fulfill that need, we've got to find her need, because it could not be that. It could be the last thing she wants to do. And so we could ask questions like, what do you enjoy the most about what you do? Just find out about her job and what she likes about it. What's one thing you would change about it? Find out what she doesn't like about it. Okay, you engage her in asking questions. You're finding her hotspot. You're finding her need. The only way you can do that is by asking questions and then spend time listening. Emerson has this quote that says, the more beautiful the questions, the more beautiful the answer. So you just ask beautiful questions to help her find a beautiful answer and solution. I'm going to skip that part. You want to ask questions that start with who, what, where, when, and how. And if you can just start with one of those words, you're on the right track. Whatever comes after is fine. Just start with one of those words and you're good. That's just a good rule of thumb with asking an effective question or a beautiful question. You never want to start with why. Why, just for whatever reason, just brings a lot of judgment. So just avoid that word. And by asking her those, and it needs to be open-ended. So we want to avoid a lot of yes or no questions, because really yes and no, you just kind of go nowhere in the conversation. You ask an open-ended question by starting with who, what, when, where, and how, because then you can like get somewhere. You can like go somewhere. You know, if you ask a question, somebody says no, you go from there. And so by asking an open-ended question where there would actually have to be a conversation for her to answer, then you can get somewhere and you can discover things about people. And you guys, people ultimately do what they want to do. Sure, we can be influencers, but at the end of the day, people are going to just do what they want to do. And whatever solution, let's say again, let's go back to an easy one, like I don't have enough time. So you're going to ask her questions to just find out more, just from curiosity. Like, I'm curious, like, what would you do if you had extra time? Or what seems to be taking up most of your time right now? Or what would you want to do with your time if you had extra time? I mean, literally, there's no wrong question. You're just coming from a place of curiosity, finding out like, well, how do you view your time? How do you use it? How would you want to use it? What do you want to say yes to that you have to say no to right now? You're just out of curiosity asking questions to draw out her story. And then giving her an opportunity for her to find her own solution. So because people ultimately do what they want to do, if you try to give her a solution, like, oh, well, you should do this, try this, or oh, quit that job and let Mary Kay fill it in. You can't give her that idea, because yeah, sure, it may be a good idea, but it's not. People take ownership of the ideas they have and the solutions they have. So that's important to give her the space to do that in the conversation. Okay, let's talk about communicating and engaging with passion. Now that we have covered some coaching concepts, how do you communicate and engage with passion? Because basically women of passion, women who can convey passion and communicate passion, are women of influence, because passion attracts people, especially like-minded people, and charisma influences more people. You have to ask yourself, especially those of you who really actively want to build a team and a unit, like, would someone leave a high-paying job to follow you? Would somebody leave their high-paying job to follow me? Because you want to be that person of influence and that caliber of a person and a leader, that someone who has a great opportunity already would actually consider like following you instead, or in addition to what they're already doing. So here's an example of communicating with passion. You can ask, what do you do? What are you passionate about? Or what makes your heart sing? Okay, so somebody asked me, if I even ask myself, okay, what do I do? Okay, I lead and mentor women to build a Mary Kay business. Okay, that's what I do. What am I passionate about? I am passionate about women becoming the best version of who God created them to be through the vehicle of the Mary Kay business. I'm passionate about that. What makes my heart sing? It makes my heart sing to look into a woman's eyes and know that she's been impacted for the better. It makes my heart sing to see a woman thriving in life, not just surviving, but thriving as a wife, as a mom, as a leader, as a sister, as a friend. It makes my heart sing to see her changing her life, and then because of her transformed life, she's sharing that with other people and teaching and supporting other people in transforming their life or an area of their life. It makes my heart sing to see people break generational cycles of debt, poverty, negativity. Like they make choices to break that, maybe with the vehicle of a Mary Kay business. It makes my heart sing to see her being God's hands and God's feet in this world to grow and impact the kingdom of God. That's what makes my heart sing. And so what we have to do is learn to communicate the things that make our heart sing, because then we can communicate our passion. And we don't just tell people what we do. Attention. We communicate our passion, what makes our heart sing, because it's attractive to people. They're like, oh, I want to follow her. I can buy into that. I can buy into that vision, and it increases our impact and our influence. And so we can communicate what we do. We can communicate what we're passionate about, but then we can communicate what makes our heart sing. And it allows us to share a passion, which is incredibly attractive and influential. And so answer the same 3 questions for yourself. What do you do? What are you passionate about? What makes your heart sing? And then take some of those answers and insert them into your I story. How could you communicate what makes your heart sing in your I story, or as you're presenting the product, or as you're presenting the business opportunity? It can be beautifully woven in to your skincare class, and you can communicate and engage with passion, and therefore be a woman of influence at that party. Okay, let's go through the interview process. And I'm going to literally walk you through line by line how a sharing opportunity or a career survey or a sharing appointment or an interview, it's called a lot of different things. We want to take a look at what that conversation could be like. There are 4 must-dos at a party. 4, like, you cannot go to a party and not do these things when it comes to sharing the opportunity. They're all in the flip chart. So if you just follow the flip chart, you're good. One of them is your I story, and having an effective I story, where again, you're communicating your passion. Marketing, where you're actually sharing information about the business opportunity. We do this through the ticket game, which used to be the purse game, and through doing a career survey or the party sheet that gives them an opportunity to give their feedback, which is the 3rd thing. So you got to share your I story, you got to share marketing, where you're sharing information about the business opportunity, and then you got to elicit some sort of feedback from them. You want them to like consider it, because unless you say, what would you enjoy most about the Mary Kay business opportunity? Unless you actually ask that question and give her the opportunity to answer it, she's not thinking that. She's not sitting there thinking, what would I enjoy most about this business opportunity? She's not having that thought. And so you have to create the space for her to have that thought by asking and inviting her feedback. And we do that just by asking questions so that people's minds actually consider that question. And then another must at a party, which we've already talked about, is booking the career survey on the spot so that you have an opportunity to follow up with her. Now, during the career survey, we're finding her sweet spot. Remember, we're finding a need and filling it, and the only way we do that is by asking questions. So we're trying to find out what she values, what she cares about, what her needs are, what her hotspot is, and if something that Mary Kay offers aligns with that value. Because that's what you really, that's ideal in a recruit, is that she's got values and needs and desires that Mary Kay can in some way fulfill. That's what you want. You just want to find a way that our opportunity fulfills a need or a value that she has. And you want to share how Mary Kay can do that, because she doesn't know how Mary Kay could fulfill that need. She may not even be aware of the need that she has or the value until she had the chance to talk about it with you. That conversation brings the awareness of that need or value. Sean Key teaches the 4 Ps: picture, purpose, passion, possibility. There are ways you can ask those questions throughout the interview process, and I'm going to point that out as we go through it. Let's see. Also, briefly want to talk about DISC. I mean, that really is a whole another topic. We could do another hour hangout just on DISC alone. It's a personality profile. For those of you who are not at all familiar with it, D is dominant, I is influencer, S is, and then C is conscientious. And so we use this not as a label, not to put people in a box, but just to understand her and what she's motivated by, and to speak her language. Because if we know what language she speaks, because everybody has their own language. D, the dominant, is for Dutch. I, the influencer, is Italian. S, the steady person, is Spanish, and C, the conscientious woman, is Cantonese. They literally are all different languages. And you just want to learn to speak people's language so that they understand you, so they make a connection. Also, there are different levels of information that people want and can consume. D's and I's, they just want something quick. Just give me the bottom line. Let's just stick to the basics. Especially D's. I's and S's, they may want a little more information depending on how strong their I or S is. And then S's and then C's, especially C's, they want every freaking detail you can tell them. So if you don't know you're talking to a D, she speaks Dutch, and you were trying to speak Cantonese to her, tell her every minute detail about this business opportunity, you are speaking Cantonese and she speaks Dutch, and she is not following. In fact, she's so frustrated that that you're not speaking her language, it could be the absolute deal breaker for her. And that she could have walked away with a credit card in hand, ready to order a starter kit. She walks away, she puts that credit card in her pocket, and she's like, man, if I have to understand these many details, like, I'm out. I'm just like a bottom line kind of girl. Just give me like the basics. I'll figure out the rest. And so you didn't speak her language. You didn't build trust with her because you didn't speak her language. You didn't build rapport with her because you didn't speak her language. Therefore, you didn't establish communication that was effective. And therefore, you lost her yes when she would have laid down her yes had you spoken her language. So that's how important it is to be able to identify someone's personality style and be able to speak their language. It builds trust, it builds rapport, and you have more likelihood she's going to say yes. So let's go to an outline that you guys can follow along with, because I thought the visual might be helpful. And let's figure this out, this interviewing process. Let me share it with you right now. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. This was created by executive, senior national sales director, and our senior NSD, Pam Shaw. And she created this. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, here we go. And this is an interview outline. And so we have kind of already talked about a lot of these concepts at the top here. So we're going to start it. Here we go. You guys see that? Yeah. Okay, so this is just an example, you guys, and these questions I'm about to go through, you don't ask all of these, or maybe you do, depending on who you're talking to and again, what her language is. But this is just kind of a good outline or example of maybe some questions you would ask and how to flow through a career survey. Okay, so here we go. Melinda, thank you so much for carving out time to meet with me today or to speak with me today, just so I know, like, how much time do you have allotted for this conversation? Okay, establishes a time frame. I like to tell people on the front end, like, hey, it would take about 15 minutes depending on the questions that you have and where the conversation goes. And so you want people to know that on the front end, but then when you get on the phone with them, say, hey, do you have 15 minutes right now? Goes over, would that be okay? Do you have something you need to get to right away after this? You want to establish that on the front end so that there are no surprises. You don't want her to abruptly end the conversation when you weren't anticipating that, and you don't want to break her trust by going on and on and on when she really didn't have the time, but you just didn't know that. And so you want to establish that on the front end. Next question, what inspired you to meet with me today? Or if it's on the phone, like, well, hey, what are the main reasons you agreed to do this phone call with me? Or what brought you here today? And maybe it's just that she wanted to help you. And she might just say that, like, well, hey, like you asked, and I just wanted to help you with your goal. And so that gives you an opportunity to affirm her. If that's truly her answer, you really can affirm her and just say, thank you. Like, thank you for being that girl. Thank you for being that person who, like, you're just willing to help. Like, I really appreciate that. And it says a lot about who you are just for your willingness. I just want to thank you on the front end. So again, it's like, what inspired you to meet with me today? Or what motivated you to follow through on this conversation with me? Or you might find out on the front end that she's a little more interested. And she might say, well, hey, I wanted to learn more. You know, I watched the video and it really piqued my interest. I want to get more information. And then at least you know that on the front end, because that affects how you guide the conversation. Okay. And so then the picture, you want to get a picture of who she is. So tell me a little bit about yourself. And then this can guide you in knowing her personality style. Tell about positions that they hold, things they've accomplished, degrees that they have, titles that they have, for the most part. I's, they're going to just talk. They're going to talk about them. They're going to talk about people. They're going to talk. You're going to hear a lot of details. S's are going to probably mainly talk about the main relationships they have in their lives. They're going to talk about their kids and their husband, what he does. C's are going to say, well, tell me what you want to know. Because they want to get it right. They don't want to tell you something that you're not looking for. They're exact. They're specific. And so that can be just like your first indication of what her personality style is. Tell me a little bit about yourself. And so don't say, tell me about what you do or tell me about your family. You want to leave it very open-ended. Tell me a little bit about you. Okay, next, purpose. Remember, these are the 4 P's. You want to find out her purpose or what she values. What's most important to you right now? The top 3. Okay, so you don't say what's the most important things, because then she might just be thinking like material things. Again, you want to leave it very open-ended. What's most important to you right now? The top 3. And you want it to be current. Sometimes you ask, like, what do you value the most? Like, a college student, she could say, like, well, I really want to have a family and I value being at home with my kids. Okay, well, that's great, but that's not her circumstance right now. You know? Okay, so yeah, that's great that that's a future value, but I just want to hear your needs right now. So what's most important to you right now? The top 3. And then a good follow-up question, maybe if you want more clarity, and which is number 1 after she gives you 3. Okay, what brings you joy in your life right now? What would you say you value the most right now? What do you need in your life right now? You guys, you're not necessarily asking all of these questions. It's just giving you different ways to kind of get at the same answer. Okay, and it's giving you different examples. Different questions are going to resonate with you, and depending on who you're in front of, you may ask different types of questions. All right, so that's just giving you examples of different ways to ask that. Not necessarily that you're going to ask all those questions in that order. Okay, you following that? Passion. Tell me about a time you've been successful. Usually when people have felt successful, that there's some passion that comes from that. And there's a sense of just excitement and ownership take of whatever that situation is, or that time frame, or that thing in their life is. What do you see as your strengths? How would other people describe your strengths? So again, it's just multiple questions. Necessarily have to ask all of them to find out what things that she is passionate about. Could I share some strengths that I've noticed or I've observed in you? This is a great chance for you to affirm her. And again, if nothing else happens, you guys, and she has no interest in the business opportunity, you want her to walk away from the conversation feeling blessed by it, feeling affirmed, feeling validated. Okay, that's a win in and of itself. What season of life have you loved the most? Well, ask this to a high school student. Okay, she probably hasn't lived a lot of seasons, or even college students. She probably hasn't gone through a lot of seasons. This is a question for maybe somebody who's gone through different seasons in their life. This is a great one. Fast forward your life 1 year from now. If time or money were not an issue, what would you want your life to look like? This is a great indicator of her value system and what she views as possible in her life. Ability. How do you see yourself benefiting from the Mary Kay business opportunity, or from becoming a Mary Kay consultant? Or you may ask, how do you see your family benefiting? If she's got family and you think she may be an S personality, who they're really relationship oriented, you want to evoke some sort of connection to her family and how they would benefit from it. Okay. So then you always transition into getting her yes or no decision. I mean, you want to basically get her to say yes or no, or no, not right now, or no, never. Like, you want to get that response. You can't just have a really happy conversation and then hang up the phone. Okay. Here are some ways you can close it. It sounds like you already see the benefits of this. Starter kit. Or the next step would be getting a starter kit. What's your readiness level in wanting to do that? Okay, so if she's not ready, what questions would you need to have answered in order to make a yes decision? If she's not ready at that point, you want to see what more information do you need? Or you can move on to, if it weren't for, not having enough time, what else would you need to know to make a yes decision? And this is getting into closing the agreement and getting the yes or no decision. We're going to go into this in more detail in just a few minutes. Okay, and in this part here, repeat, acknowledge. Repeating people's words back to them is very, very powerful. So she says something, and just repeating it or paraphrasing it back to her can be really powerful. Sometimes to the point where people are like, "Oh, did I say that?" Or like, "Oh, I didn't realize I said it like that." So repeating and acknowledging the words people are using can be really powerful for them. Okay, I'm going to kind of go through that a little bit more, because we're going to stop looking at this and we're going to move on to some other things. Okay, so that was a basic outline of what a career survey would look like or sound like. Okay, so now we're going to go into how to close it. And in coaching school, my mind was opened to even that term, closing a deal, because it just seems so abrupt and final. And the way they use it in coaching schools, they say, instead of closing a deal, you're opening a relationship. Okay, so I still kind of tend to use the word close, close the agreement. But how you want to think about it is you're opening a relationship, opening a business relationship with a new friend. And that's truly what's happening, and that's what you want your heart to be communicating. I'm not just trying to close you to get your decision so I can move my business forward. I want to open a relationship of trust with you. About establishing that trust, not just getting the yes or no. Okay, and people sense that. They sense when that's your agenda, and that's really what you would want to communicate. So closing people, or getting the yes decision, You guys, it's just like this intuition. It's an art, not a science. And it's about people skills. And it's learning to be very bold and direct in your communication without causing people to feel uncomfortable or pushed, or without causing them to put their wall up. And there's a fine line with that. And so learning to do this, it just comes with a lot of experience. I was not naturally intuitive or good at this when I started Mary Kay. But you remember the numbers of people I was in front of, 50, 75, 100. So after a year would go by, I was in front of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. The benefit of that is you get good at like sensing people and reading their body language and understanding what they're maybe thinking, or reading between the lines of what they're saying. You just gain that intuition and that knowledge. And so the only way to do that is just put yourself in front of people and just stumble through it in the beginning. We have that fake it till you make it. Be fake. It just means just go do it. Just go do it. You don't have to be good at it. You're not going to be good at it right away, but you just have to gain the knowledge and the experience, and build up your intuition and go with your gut. And a way that you get to go with your gut is just by experience. You want to be the butterfly, not the mosquito. Okay. A mosquito and a butterfly, when you think about it, they're both bugs. They like fly around your face and they bug you because they're bugs. Well, a mosquito, if it lands on you, bam, you want to slap it away and you want to kill it. A butterfly, who would ever slap a butterfly away? Like, who would do that? No, they're beautiful. You want to observe them. You like them. They're still a bug. They're in your face, flying around. But you enjoy their presence. Okay, so that's who you want to be. You want to be the butterfly. You want to get in her face. You want her to see you. You want to get her attention. You may want to land on her for a minute and look her in the eye. Want to be a presence in her life, but you want her to want to be with you, and want to like consider, oh, I kind of like what she's doing. I want to look for a minute and see. I want to look into this. You don't want to be the mosquito people want to slap away. And that's the typical stereotype that salespeople get, like people want to slap them away. But I think you can be super effective in sales and in recruiting by being a butterfly, in fact, more effective. You want to sense her body language. And of course, you can only do this if you're in person with someone having coffee, or if she's at your meeting, and you just want to like sense her body language. Sometimes I'll be talking to people and they'll be tracking with me. Notice they look at their watch or at their phone, and you want to catch that, because that means she's kind of checking out a little bit, and she's kind of like, okay, I'm done with this. I listened and now I'm done. Now I need to get going. And that's when you kind of pull back a little bit. If you notice that people are pulling back, or they're kind of looking at the door, they're starting to like get antsy, that's not when you like jump on her and push harder. That's when you sort of let it go for a minute, because you see that she's pulling back. Their eye contact is another big thing. Okay. If they're making eye contact with you and all of a sudden you ask her something and she looks down, that's an indication of like, oh, maybe you've crossed the line, or I don't want to go there. I don't want to talk about that. And so you've got to catch that when you pull back a little bit, and you don't try to like, boom, keep pushing in that area. She may not want to go there. Or if she's super engaged and like she's with you with her eyes and her body language, and she's like leaned in, man, you keep going. Keep going until she shows you that she's done. Because you've got an engaged person who's interested. She's into it. She wants more information. She wants you to keep going. Okay, people will communicate that with their body language. People need a push. Most people do. That's the rule, not and the exception would be people who just recruit themselves. Every now and then you meet most people, they need a little nudge. They need a little push off the ledge. They need a little push out of the nest. I know I did. I needed those layers. I needed that encouragement. I needed that push. And some of you are way too worried about being pushy. And no, we never want to be pushy in a way that it causes people's walls to go up, but we want to be bold and direct, and we don't want to cop out on like, okay, well, call me if you're interested. Like that's ever going to happen. Even my really best girlfriend from college who was interested in Mary Kay. She didn't even call me. She waited till somebody else found her. Okay, so people aren't going to call you when they're ready. You lead that relationship. You do the follow-up. The ball's in your court. It's your business. You're ready. Like, what is that? But we cop out on that way too soon. Like, okay, well, let me know when you're interested, or okay, can I follow up with you, in a month? And sure, there's a time and place to ask that question, but we go to that too soon. We cop out too soon when maybe she just needs a little nudge, little encouragement. Maybe ask one more question, dig a little bit deeper, try to find her hot spot again. Okay. Also, you want to work with urgency. And this is especially for sales directors in the room. Man, when you walk into your meeting, you want to be thinking like, I'm getting some yeses tonight. Because women make an emotional decision in the moment. They think about it too long. Most people, fear just sets in. Fear just like consumes them and paralyzes them. Because remember how we get paranoid in a negative way? So they start thinking like, nobody's going to buy from me. Oh, I knew this girl who tried it and she didn't do very well. Like, I don't have time for this. Oh my gosh, I can't do this. I don't have time for this. They get paranoid in a negative way, just like we do. People have a tendency to go towards the negative. So you give her time to think about it. Those are the things she's going to be thinking about, how she can't fit it into her life. And so people make a emotional decision in the moment. And you want to create opportunities for people to make a yes decision in the moment. And you want to create those opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities. And I know that I made a decision in the moment that in fact, I wanted to back out on. After I ordered my starter kit, I actually asked Tina the next day, I'm like, can I return it? Like, I just don't think I can do this. I don't have enough time. Like, I totally wanted to cop out from getting my starter kit. And she told me I couldn't. I think she lied to me. She told me I couldn't return it. I'm like, oh, dang it, guess I have to do this. Because I had a fear moment. I'm like, I can't do this. And so fear never leads to positive decisions. And it never leads to taking a risk or taking a chance on yourself. And so if you create the opportunity for women to think too long, you create the opportunity for fear to set in. And fear does not serve anyone. Fear guides your life. And by giving people too much time, it just creates opportunities for fear to be their guide. And that doesn't serve her. It doesn't serve her well. Opportunities for fear to creep in. And so that's why we work with urgency to get the yes on the phone, when we're in person in coffee, when they're at the meeting. It's important to get the yes there. Okay, that serves her well. Well, for Tina to lie to me and say, you can't return your starter kit, sweetie. You got to do it. You just got to go all in, let the fear go. Just give it a try. That serves me better than her saying, oh yeah, okay, you can return the starter kit because you got scared. Like, that would not have served my life or served my opportunity or my future success. Okay? People need a little push. I needed a little push. Let's go to overcoming objections. Gosh, this is getting long, you guys. Okay. Yeah, we're almost done. So this is more on validating and overcoming the objection. So again, she says, like, I don't have the time. And so then you validate her, you agree with her and say, okay, I see that you've got a full plate, my friend. Like, sister, you are maxed out. I see that. You just want to say it as if you were her friend. Like, if you were sitting down with your best girlfriend for coffee and she's telling you how busy her life is, you'd be like, yeah, man, girl, you got a lot going on. You would just validate and affirm her. So you want to respond as if a girlfriend would. You don't want to respond too businessy or too like, well, I know how you feel. I felt the same way too, and I was thinking about Mary Kay, but I found that, like, if I just said no to TV and going out with friends, then you just can't approach it too business-like, because people sense that. They just want to be her girlfriend. Okay, so you validate her And then after validating her, her wall goes down, then you engage her in conversation and questions. And you say, well, hey, let me ask you this. If I could teach you and Mary Kay to make an extra $500 a month on like 5 hours a week, just a couple hours here and a couple hours there, would you be motivated to find the time? You're just looking for a yes or no. Like, would that be motivating to you? And most people say yes. For most people, that $500 is going to make a difference for them financially. So she's like, yeah, that would actually be motivating. And then I would ask, well, hey, I'm curious, like, what would you spend that money on? Or how would that $500 benefit your life? So you're getting her to like spend the money in her mind. And so then she tells you, like, you know what, I would pay off my student loans faster. Say, okay, that like, how awesome would that be? Well, do you mind if I share some information that might be helpful? So asking permission to share, guys, is always a great way to keep people's walls down, because they feel like you're respecting them, not just like beating them over the head with information. So, hey, do you mind if I just share some information briefly about how you could potentially make that income? Or do you mind if I just share some things for you to think about? An average consultant holds about 1 party a week. That's an investment of about 5 hours, give or take, of the time you'd be investing. And although we can't guarantee profits because you're building your own business, it's not like you're employed by Mary Kay, so we can't guarantee profits, but on average, you could potentially profit about $500 a month starting off with, just the chance to make even more than that. And so what if you could invest 5 hours a week to make an extra $500 to pay off your student loans faster? How motivating would it be to find the time right now to do that? Okay, so did you follow that? You validated, you asked her if the money would be motivating. Do you mind if I share some more information? You share some information about how much money she can make, and then how motivating would it be to find the time? If you ask, hey, curious, would an extra $500 a month be motivating to you? If the answer is no, which for some people it is, that wouldn't make a significant difference for them. It would not be a source of motivation. Then I would ask, well, hey, what's more motivating about this opportunity than the money? Like, if it's not the money, what would be attractive to you? For most people, it's going to be the money right off, but for some people, it's not going to be that. So you want to find out what it is if you haven't already hit that sweet spot or that value that she has. Another one we hear a lot, not the right time. Okay, isn't that annoying? Somebody's interested, but it's just not the right time in life. And so something how I respond to that, like, I almost just say, like, I know, it's like never the right time, is it? Like, it's never the right time to start something new, is it? You just agree with her and say, yeah, I know, like, it's hard to just start new things. This is an important one for you to overcome in your iStory. Directors, if you're sharing at a meeting, or consultants, when you're sharing at a party, I always like to insert that, like, it was just not the right time for me, but I decided to do it anyways because. So you want to share that just so people hear that, like, there's no perfect moment. I didn't start at this perfect time in life, and I'm sure you didn't either. So that's for most people, like, yeah, I know there's never like the right time to start something new, is there? Well, hey, like, if you don't mind, so you validated her, wall goes down, and you say, well, hey, if you don't mind me asking, like, do you think there will ever be that, like, perfect moment? And you're kind of saying it like, haha, like, do you ever think, like, the lights will all be green? And just some food for thought. Like, the lights will probably never all be green. And sometimes, like, we wait for that perfect moment or that perfect time, and good opportunities just pass by, and all of a sudden a year goes by and place. So, let me ask you, how do you feel about giving it a try, even if it doesn't feel like the right time? Okay, so you're validating her, asking permission to share more information, kind of share, hey, the lights will never all be green, and then engaging her with a coaching question. How do you feel about just giving it a try, even if it doesn't feel like the right time? Everyone is selling something. I don't want to obligate my friends. Here, I feel like that's a one that I hear a lot these days, because there's just direct sales is more prevalent now than it was. So everyone is selling something. I don't want to obligate my friends. And I would just say, like, I know it's like the cool thing to do, right? Like, that's all you see on social media is people, like, selling the next new product. And it's true. That's what we see. And so again, you're validating, you're just agreeing with her. Like, I know it's like the cool thing. Something. Well, hey, do you mind if I share a few thoughts around that? And then something I share is I go in one of two directions. I either share Mary Kay in the product and the power of selling a consumable product. I say, okay, so of Mary Kay is that we are actually selling something that women are purchasing literally every day anyways. You know, women, even the lowest maintenance girl is like buying a cleanser or washing her face with like soap and maybe using mascara. So it's like an everyday product that's in every bathroom, every woman's bathroom all over America. And so that's the awesome thing about Mary Kay is we are selling women something that they are using every day anyways. You know, we're not selling knives or vacation packages or, you know, candles, you know, those extra luxury products. We're just selling an everyday product that women are using. And so it does make our product line really relevant to just the people in your life that you see every day because they already have what you're selling and have a need for what you're selling. Another benefit is that it is consumable. And so every night, like women are washing the product off your face and they'll run out. And when they run out of cleanser, they need a new one to keep washing their face with. And so that's another benefit of what we sell is there's a great reorder business. So I'd either go that route and just share the value of the type of product that we sell. I would also want to comment on, I don't want to obligate my friends. I would make some comments on that too. And I would just try to discern which direction I felt like she needed to hear based on how she says that. Because sometimes people just need to hear about the product and sometimes people need to hear more about the friend part. And I would say, hey, do you mind if I share more about how we build our business in Mary Kay? In Mary Kay, we just love to share with women. And if they want to purchase the product, great. And if they don't want to, we don't push. It's not a hard sale or a pushy sale in Mary Kay. It's really just about sharing a product that women have in their bathroom anyways. And we want to provide that service and build that relationship. And another thing is we teach women and really train women on how to effectively market to people who are interested in the product. And so it's not about just like building your business on your friends and family, because that's really annoying for them and it's frustrating for you. And so we don't want to teach you to do that. We teach you to network and meet friends of friends and just to find people who have a need. And so like you can get involved with bridal fairs where you're offering consultations for brides. You can just network in your local community where people can enter to win a free facial and a makeover. So maybe you list a couple of ways that she could market and network in her community. And so you don't have to worry about obligating your friends or putting too much pressure on them because we don't train you to do that anyways because nobody really likes that and people get annoyed by that. So based on that information, you know, how would you be ready to get started with your business or what else would hold you back? So you might like go to closing it and having her get her starter kit, or you might just ask for the next objection, depending on where you're at in the conversation and your intuition about how the conversation is going. So there is another document I want to share really quickly. It is one that after coaching school, one of our sales directors, Charlotte Goody-Kuntz, created, and it's overcoming objections. Crap, where did it go? There it is. It's overcoming objections with coaching. Share. Present to everyone. Okay. And this document, which I'll make available to you guys, goes over all these objections. I can't sell. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I'm too busy. I'm too shy. I'm not the sales type. It goes through all the objections we possibly could get, coaching questions to ask. So let's do I can't sell. You would not ask all of these questions. You would just pick one or two, depending on what resonates with you the most. This one. Okay, so I can't sell. I'm not the sales type. So then you would validate her. Like, okay, so like sales freak you out. So again, you're just agreeing with her. You're being a girlfriend. You're saying, okay, does that like totally freak you out to sell something to your friends and family? Like, oh yeah, it does. Like, I'm totally not the sales type. Okay, well, hey, do you mind if I ask, like, what products are your favorite? What have you enjoyed the most so far about what you've tried? And then she tells you, like, oh, I've loved the mascara. I can't find a mascara that doesn't like clump on my eyelashes, and this Lash Love just like went on so smoothly. I really enjoyed that. And then I would respond like, well, hey, like that's all you would do with your friends and family, people you would present with. You just share with them what you like. So it's not about being good in sales. It's not about having sales experience. It's honestly just sharing something you like. And you know what? We all sell each other every day. You know, when you see a really good movie and you tell a friend about it and she goes to see it, well, you just sold her on that movie. So you're just sharing things you naturally like. People are open to hearing about things you like because you have a sincere interest in it. And so, I mean, how do you feel about just sharing products you like with friends and family? Okay, so do you see how we went through that? She gave the objection, you validated, and then you picked one of these questions. But see, you kind of have to cushion it. You can't just say, well, what products are your favorite? You kind of have to say, well, like, tell me what products have you tried that you've enjoyed the most or that are your favorite so far? So these questions, they give you questions to ask, but you got to add a little bit more, and sometimes you kind of have to soften it, you know? So we don't have time to go through all of these. I'm going to provide this document, but it just basically supports you in validating and then asking a question that would engage her in the conversation, see it in another way, see it in another light. When I did my career survey with Tina and her director, Julia, my main objection was time, that I didn't have the time. And Julia's response to me is she said, well, you know, Mary Kay, it really can ebb and flow with your life. And on weeks you have more time, you can do more with it. And on weeks that you don't have a lot of time, you don't have to do a whole lot with it. And for me, I was like, oh, okay, I could do that. So she just shared more information to help me see a solution a different way. I did not say yes on the spot, but that really helped to overcome the problem I saw in my mind. The problem I saw in my mind is I didn't have enough time. What she shared with me is that's okay. You don't have to do it when you don't have too much time. There's no quotas or obligations, so it can ebb and flow with your life. So I'm like, oh, it can ebb and flow with my life. Got it. And so 2 weeks later, when I did make a yes decision, it was partly because I had solved that problem mentally. And the problem I saw in my mind, I now had a solution for. And so that's what we're doing with these coaching questions. Problems and obstacles people have in their mind, we're trying to effectively, with great communication skills, help them to see that there's a solution to that. And even if they don't sign on the spot, they mentally, hopefully, you've just come up with solutions that make sense to them or supported them in coming up with their own solutions. And sometimes it's based on just information we're sharing, and sometimes that's just questions you're asking for them to come up with their own solution. Okay? And so some general statements to like just get her to say yes or no. Ideally, yes. Here are just some general things that you can say. That there's usually that moment where she's giving you objections, you've overcome them or shared more information or coached her with some questions, and like you're just not sure where to take it next, and she's interested and has some objections, but maybe not enough objections to really hold her back from doing it, and you're like, where do I take this conversation? And so you don't want to miss that moment. Out on that moment. Chickening out would be like, oh, well, call me when you're not as busy. Or, okay, well, do you mind if I follow up a month from now? That would be kind of chickening out. You just go to the follow-up, which sometimes that's appropriate, okay? That is sometimes appropriate. But you don't want to miss possibly getting the yes decision in the moment. Okay, and sometimes when you're not sure where to take the conversation, just try to get the yes. Just try. She could say no. Worst case scenario, she says no, and oh well, you knew at least that you were bold and tried. You don't have to ever wonder like, well, man, if I would have been more direct and bold, would she have said yes? Like maybe she would have. So you don't want to have that question in your mind. So just try. Worst case scenario, she says no. So don't miss the moment. And again, it's not a science, it's an art. It's just like this intuition that you have and this gut feeling that you gain over time after talking to a lot of people. And so sometimes I'll just say, like, girl, you should just go for it. Like, just try it. Just go for it. I know you're busy. Like, I see that you have a full plate. But why not just see it if it's for you, if you can fit it in, and if you can't, or if it's not for you, you can scratch it off your list of things to try in life. And at least you would know, like, it really didn't work out. Like, would you be willing just to go for it? Okay. So sometimes I'll just say that, like, just go for it. Another thing I'll say often, and this is when, you're talking to somebody you really like you could just really see her soaring in Mary Kay. And you would just tell her that. You say, you know what? I just really like you. And you have to be sincere. You can't just throw this out to anybody. It's got to be like a sincere thing. People sense when it's just flattery and it's not sincere. But you would say, I just really like you. I would love to work with you. I can tell that you're a leader and you've been successful at this or that. And Mary Kay, like, are you willing to just give it a shot? I would seriously love to work with you and support you in building a business. Another thing that I'll say to people sometimes is when they're just really like making it this big decision. I would say, you know what? I feel like you're like kind of overthinking this and making this like a really big life decision. And I just so you know, like, you're not getting married to Mary Kay. Like, if you were to ever decide to do this and then maybe decide it's not for you, like, you can, like, no strings attached. You can just stop. Like, it's not the big life decision that you're making it. It's like a casual date. And if it doesn't work out, like, there's no obligations, no strings attached. Okay. So I just don't want you to make this a more serious decision than it is, because you're not obligating yourself to something you couldn't get out of it. So with that in mind, like, would you just be ready to go for it, knowing that you're not overcommitting? Okay, so that's for people who are just like making it this life and death kind of thing. So in closing, you guys, if I told you to go into a room of 100 women and 20 of them in there were just dying, praying, hoping for an opportunity that would change their life or change their circumstance, how would you feel about that? And how are you going to respond? Because those women are out there, my friends. They're out there. I was one of them. You may have been one of them. That I didn't even know what I needed. That now today my life has created and my business has created this flexibility, these choices, this life experience, this personal growth. I mean, the list goes on. I'm so overwhelmingly grateful that the opportunity was shared for me. It changed my life. And I feel like I've just barely even gotten started. Glad somebody shared with me something I didn't even know I needed at the time. But it's created this dream life. I mean, literally a dream life that I'm so grateful for. So they're out there. People are out there who could be so blessed by this. It's just your job to go find them and to share effectively and to track it and to work the numbers and to follow through and to gain intuition, to build trust, to build relationships with people. It's your job to go out there and do it. And it could, the opportunity it can create for you, can you even imagine? Can you even imagine how your business will grow when you get really, really good at doing this? So go do it. You guys go out there and do it. Go share, go bless people, go build relationships, go change lives, go add value. Go add value to this world and to the lives of the people that you get to touch. Okay, my friends, have a great day.